Hello everyone, this is Danny from Deep South Homestead. I've been asked to maybe give a little bit of talk about the smokehouse here, but some of the aspects of it. So first thing we're going to talk about here is the building itself is a 4-foot by 4-foot square building. And then the construction of it, what I've done, if one can come around here to the other side. What we did, I put 4 posts in the ground. They're 4 foot on the outside of each one of them. And once I got the posts in the ground, I drilled holes through the bottom of the post and I put rebar through the bottom of the post, and I poured me a slab inside this thing so that I've got a concrete floor in the bottom of it. I just did not want a dirt floor in the bottom of my smokehouse. And after I did that, then I framed it up around the bottom with just some treated plates around the bottom here. And I came up inside here at 6 feet high, and I put me a 2x4 across it. I drove a couple of nails in at angles on each side. I took these pipes here. Now what this is I ran a construction company for many, many years. These pipes are scaffolding X-bracing that had torn up on the jobs, and we had them just piled up here. So I cut them to 46 inches long and wrapped them in tinfoil. Every time we go to hang our sausage in here, we change the tinfoil out. We just peel it off and we put new tinfoil on it each time. Now another aspect on the inside of this building here is I have a shelf in here that I made. I took a hanger. I can let this shelf down, and if I need anything that I'm salting down or anything like that, I can leave it in here on this shelf while it's being salted, because I have a salt box that's not actually in here right now. Now another thing that's on the inside of this smokehouse is, once you get the outside of it framed up, now all I did, if one can come around side the building here, you can look, all I did was use rough cut lumber on the outside of the building. I took my router and did a shiplap on the bottom of that lumber so that it laps over and water will not go inside the building. This piece laps over the next piece and that one laps over, and so on. That kept me from having to put 2x4 framing on the inside of this building, which if you wanted to put 2x4 framing on the inside of it, there's nothing wrong with that. I just didn't do it. The next thing I did was went to the hardware store, and what you see right here, this is aluminum sheeting. I bought it in a 16-inch wide roll. I could have bought it in a 2-foot wide roll and just had 2 pieces in here and would have been perfectly fine. But since doing that, I have learned a few things, and I'm always trying to make my smokehouse better. What I will eventually want to do is to pull this aluminum sheeting off and to put a good grade of insulation behind it, some kind of rigid insulation that won't give off a chemical whenever it's heated up, and put that back on here, because what I run into, this smokehouse was specifically designed to cold smoke bacon in, where the temperature only ranged from say 90 to 110 degrees. But I do a lot of sausage in here, and when you do sausage, you want to bring the temperature up to about 160 to 170 to get the internal temperature of the sausage up to 150. And I'm having a little bit of problem doing that because I have to stay out here constantly with it to make sure that the fire is going really, really good in order to do that. That's one of the things about the smokehouse that we are trying to upgrade. Now you'll see the pipe coming through in here. I'll show you in a minute. That comes from outside. I framed up a square hole, and I have a piece of metal down there through it so that this pipe is not actually touching wood, so if this pipe gets hot, it won't set the smokehouse on fire. Now back on the outside of the smokehouse, what I did is I went up and I built me a little lean-to shed on it, because you're going to need to keep your wood for smoking out of the rain and keep it dry. And what I've done here is I keep hickory, red oak, pecan, and apple wood. Now you'll see here a lot of these pieces of wood you see laying around here. These are where we trim the limbs out of our apple trees. And we save this wood to smoke with because it has not been chemically treated, and none of the trees have been sprayed with any kind of pesticides or chemicals, so that we can use this wood to smoke our bacon and sausage with. Now around here you'll notice at the bottom here, these are just pads, stone pads that you can get from Walmart or anywhere, any hardware store. I take those and put them on the ground to stack my wood on so that the wood is not in direct contact with the soil. And here we have our pipe coming out of the back of the building here for our smoker. This particular thing here is something that we're trying to upgrade on the smokehouse here, because this smokehouse is only 2 years old and I've had to replace this pipe twice already because of the weather outside. It rusted up. What we're wanting to do is go back and pour a little concrete footing along here, put some blocks on it, and we're wanting to use the terracotta chimney linings that goes inside a chimney in a home and make this out of terracotta so that we can have a lifetime smoke pipe that we don't have to ever worry about deteriorating on us. Because to be honest with you, in a life-changing event, if you was to need this, you may not be able to get this. So when you build this, you want to make sure it's either out of stainless steel, which I didn't have access to, or the terracotta pipe flue liners, which will last forever then. You don't have to worry about having something to change. Now for the smoker part of it here, you don't want your smoker to be in the smokehouse. Your fire and all that, you don't want that in there because of the risk of fire and burning your smokehouse down from grease dripping off of your meat. So what I've done here is I came out here and dug a hole in the ground. Now it has a dirt floor in the bottom of it. I took bricks and I bricked up and mortared me a square 2 foot by 2 foot box out of brick. When I done that, I took a piece of plywood and I made me a little top to go on it with a hole in the top of it exactly the size of this pipe, and I built me a little form. I poured the concrete on it so that when it was finished I could break the plywood down out from underneath the inside of it and get it out, and this pipe would just slide down in a hole in the top of it. And I also beveled it down so that it didn't hold water. It would shed water off on it, and there's also wire and rebar in this to hold it up so it doesn't actually, under heat, it won't collapse and fall in. Now, being as I used to be in the sheet metal and do some sheet metal work, I had several pieces of sheet metal. This here is nothing more than just trim work off of where I did metal buildings and stuff. I mounted it inside the brickwork and the concrete. I made a little metal door. I put me some brass hinges on it and screwed it to it. I took and just put me an easy operating little handle on it here. I drilled some holes in it here so that this can be turned. You can open it and control the amount of draft for the fire going in. If you want just smoke, you can cut the air back, but if you want to really raise the heat on up, you can open this up so that the air passes through these holes and allows your fire to burn a lot hotter. This is made with a little latch system over here so I can push it over and I can lock it down. Now these you're looking at here, these two wings sticking out here, this is to be able to control the wind, because it seems like every time I go to smoke anything, the wind goes to blowing. And this heater, or smoker, does not face the north. This one faces the southwest. I did that because during the wintertime we predominantly have a cold north wind blowing, and with it facing the southwest, the north is coming from over in this direction blowing across it here, and it keeps the wind from being able to get up in here and make my fire hard to control. So that's what this is on here for. I have a concrete bottom in it. Another thing I have in my smokehouse right here, I have a thermometer right here. This one, it's about an 8-inch thermometer, and what it is, it's a meat thermometer. I drilled a hole in my smokehouse at the level of the pipes in the smokehouse that I showed you a while ago that's wrapped with tin foil, so that it gives me an accurate temperature reading at that height in the smokehouse, because the meat is actually hanging below that, and I know that the meat is reaching that temperature if I've got this level with the pipes that's in the smokehouse here. Now this thermometer goes from 0 to 220 degrees, which I'll probably never cook anything hotter than 220 degrees in here. But I wanted to show you that's how I read the temperature, and it's on the back side of the smokehouse facing my smoker, so that while I'm putting the wood in it, I can look up at the thermometer and I know instantly what the temperature inside my smokehouse is as my fire is burning, and I'll know how to control my draft from that. The last thing I want to show you on the smokehouse is the door. I use galvanized latches and hinges on it, because if there's anything I hate is anything that's rusting. This door has regular gate hinges on it because this door is heavy. And I want to tell you why. This door is almost as wide as the smokehouse is. It fits directly between the two posts. This post here and this post here. This door is that big because there's nothing any more aggravating in a smokehouse than to try to be getting in here to do something and you're having to go through a small tiny door. So I made my door the same width as the smokehouse because it gives me plenty of room to operate. And if you like what you've seen today here at Deep South Homestead, be sure to share it and subscribe. Thank you.